Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
Tomorrow, I will be competing against Jordan Morris from Jordan Jesse Go, Ashley Gavin from the podcast We're Having Gay Sex, Sarah Levine from Am I the Asshole podcast, and Kyle Ocasio from Shut Up, Mommy's Talking. You know Kyle, of course, the mother of my stepkids. It's going to be a very exciting day. I'm pre-gaming right now. I have my Gatorade right here, me and Jordan, and I'm excited. And I'm not sure what the betting odds are right now, but I'd put all your money on me. I'm feeling good.
Is Kyle Ocasio going to water down your Gatorade as a way to sabotage you?
She was going to be recording in the same house, and then I thought of that, and now she has to record in her apartment.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Defense. Very good. Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about silent trailers. Get information and tickets, including backstage passes at keithandthegirl.com/tickets. It's the best game show in town. My town, your town. It's virtual. It's all our towns. I wasn't allowed to see movies until after I moved out of the house at age 18.
Is this a Catholic thing? Like these movies are going to offend, like all movies are offensive, right? For heavy Catholics.
Have you talked to somebody and they said, "Oh, I don't watch movies," and you go, "Oh, Catholic"? No, it's a Malley thing, I think.
That's a good point.
It's Catholic, but it's beyond. You know. I remember I moved out of the house, came back, and one night I had the DVD of From Dusk Till Dawn the vampire movie, Quentin Tarantino. My dad, it's late at night, I have the TV low. My dad happens to come out to use the bathroom at the scene where Cheech is talking about a strip club. We have white pussy, black pussy, skinny pussy, fat pussy, stupid pussy, smart pussy. And my dad's like, these are movies now? No R-rated movies. I put in a PG-13 rated movie. That somehow it's the same thing, except the word vagina. Okay, no PG-13. Next thing you know, it's I can only watch cartoons even if I'm visiting.
You were literally not allowed to have fun in any way in your house, and you were punished when you tried to have fun, when you tried to make up stories with your sister and be creative. When you laughed at the table, you have to take it outside. I mean, there was a lot of like, if you're going to have fun, please do it in some other space.
So when I moved out, the fun I had, I saw every movie ever made. I went to the Pizza Hut buffet every day for lunch. McDonald's, I had my own fries. Keith, why didn't you learn emotion? Who the fuck has the time? I had things to catch up on.
You know who you sound like when you talk about this? You remember in the 80s, there was a lot of, I'm running away from children. Yeah. And then you would see them, they would find this sort of gang of other children who ran away in like a warehouse space that they've turned into their own home. And nobody has to go to sleep at whatever time. And you can eat candy for dinner. And then the lesson at the end of every half hour, no matter what show it was, no matter what sitcom was, I miss my mom. I have an upset stomach. This is terrible. You proved this wrong. This is why we don't see this setup in sitcoms anymore, because the kids who actually were like, I'm done with this, were very satisfied with their decision.
I remember my mom being fed up.
Whatever.
I was like 14, 15. She's pretending she's going to kick me out of the house, but I believed it. So I packed a duffel bag of a remote with the wire, forward, backward, and reverse robot, and some other toys. And I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. And so she checked my bag and she's like, you have all toys. Where are your clothes? I'm like, what the fuck do I need extra clothes for? She goes, for school. And I'm like, who's the idiot now? I'm not going to school. I'm living in the gravel pit.
Were you 14, 15, or do you want to revise that?
Really? Because I was afraid I was saying I was too young. Anyways.
No, because a toy car at 14, 15. I don't know.
You get them when you get them. I don't know. Well, when did normal people get toy cars?
Not at anything. Nothing you did was normal. So let's just assume it's not 14, 15.
Okay. Let's say it's 11, 12. I got to wait until they show up at somebody's garage sale. And then I get them. So time takes time. Okay?
Yes.
I was talking about seeing every movie ever made. The poll we had the other day was talking about the Marvel movies. And I said, it's weird to me that people can pick and choose what Marvel movies to see and not just see all of them. because you don't know what they're going to be about. They're going to be fantastic. They tie together. The poll was, are people that only see certain MCU movies in theaters fucking weirdos? Your choices were, yes, watch them all. You never know, and they all go together. 40% of the audience.
Wow. That's a lot.
No, pick and choose. They don't control your life. 40%. Or I don't watch MCU movies. MCU, what?
20%. That was me. 20%. Yeah, I would, if I wasn't on this show, I would think, did you misspell MCA? Or I don't know. I don't really understand. But it's sort of like asking people about the Bible. Like, are you taking all the rules from the Bible, or are you picking and choosing? Because I don't know that that's how the Bible goes.
That's right. Curious Klepto writes, I've seen every Marvel movie except Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch has a face that I can't stare at for 2 hours straight.
Wow.
At least in Infinity War, we got away and looked at other groups for a while.
Wow.
Doctor Strange was one of the best ones. He was in a fight as time moved backwards, so things are unbreaking around him. And you just can miss one? What?
Do you feel like they're maybe creating superpowers based on the kind of movie they could make now? Like, oh, we figured out how to make this move backwards. Or, oh, yes, we figured out how to explode something. So now somebody's thing is explosions.
Yeah. Like the new Loki is, oh, we know how to tell boring superhero stories now. And so that's on TV. Make me want to shoot myself in the face. How are people on this guy's Loki side? Loki tried to destroy Earth, destroyed Asgard. This man needs dead. There is no redemption. Thor's like, I'm upset with you today. Yet you're a genocidal maniac. You destroyed planets. You killed infinitely more people than Thanos. And people are like, oh no, his buddy Mobius forgets him. He's an evil, evil person. You guys out there, you can't forgive your ex, but you can forgive Loki. # fuck Loki. Wake up. Jamie Lannister was a piece of shit too. He's the one who made the savior of the world crippled also. Nobody remembers that. Oh, Loki was the worst person in the world. But you're good with him, but you don't forgive the person at work that stole your lunch.
Was that you, Keith?
Yes, just forgive me. I was 19. I was on my own. I didn't have money.
You know, going back to when they have these special effects, they create a movie around it. We just saw Tenet. What the fuck was that?
Exactly. Yeah.
What the hell? Did somebody follow that, A? No. And B, was that not about just the special effects? Like, guys, we can make people move backwards and we sort of can build a story around it. Good enough.
Right.
What the whole time I was like, I think I remember this being nominated for a bunch of Oscars. Something about like the main actor is black. And I did notice like this wasn't, you know, like I'm getting too old for this shit. He didn't have those stupid lines. He had like regular lines. So I was like, okay, good for him and for the world. But what is this movie? Did you understand? Who watched it and understood this?
I didn't understand it.
Damn it, our guest knows what I'm talking about. All right, we'll get to it.
But it's tough when a character turns to the camera and looks right at you and goes, but we're not supposed to get it. Anyway, back to the story. Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest.
Not ladies and gentlemen, though.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wasn't done, Ken. I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, today's guest and everybody else in the world, however you identify, is fantastic. The comedy albums you want to get, Bangs, As Is, Inside Joke, that was recorded when she was 8.5 months pregnant. Now, this is some kind of denial. No, I'm going back to work, you know. I was just reading the other day, again, Screw Everyone, her first book, Sleeping My Way to Monogamy. She's fantastic. Or he, or other. Ophira Eisenberg.
Hi. Hello. Yeah, I go by other.
You know, I was just gonna say, how is she doing, so that I could use your pronoun, but also dismiss you at the same time.
That's great. That's perfect.
Thank you. I'll find a way.
By the way, I watched Tenet twice. I was thinking about watching it for the third time.
Oh my.
For fun or to try to figure it out?
Because I liked it. I really liked it, but I lost track of how things worked at a certain point. I was like, but wait a second. And so I was like, I'll watch it again and then figure it out. And then I watched it again. And at the end, I was like, exactly the same place where I was before. And then I thought, maybe that's the whole point.
Oh, don't give me that.
That's good.
No. No. I'm not your teacher who you're going to get an A because you tricked that you really got it by not getting it.
That's right. So, but then I kind of looked around. I didn't feel like investing a lot of time on the internet of people explaining to me what it's about. But I did a brief look around, and most people, like the standard thing was just like, don't worry about it. Yeah. Don't worry about it. It was very zen. It was very zen.
I have tried to tell banks, don't worry about it. It didn't work that way. I've tried to tell partners, don't worry about it. We don't say don't worry about it about the dishes. We're going to talk about like going back in time, I think, or two worlds, and then one kills, and then you can switch it. Nobody dies, but they do.
Oh, so you did get it. So I remember being in school and they said, tell me the story about Columbus. And I was like, there is so much we don't know.
You were right. Cut to
an F. I failed.
Yeah. Cut to the day is gone.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Okay. So you know what's going. You watch Smart Things. You can grasp it.
Well, and I'm not watching Loki, but I wish you had that kind of passion about Loki for, I don't know, global warming. I feel like it would be solved.
My girlfriend wishes I had it for our relationship. You studied O'Farah, and we don't talk about this enough. Cultural anthropology.
Oh, yeah, right.
What is it?
What is it? So I think it's changed definitions. So there's one thing. But at the time, it was like, yeah, right. And so basically, it was like the study of cultures. It was a study of cultures. But then by the time I took it, they was like, oh, yeah, white people, stop thinking you can study cultures. It was like, you jerks. What, you just waltz in there and you're like, here's how the people live. How weird. You know, so that was... So when I took it, the whole discipline had imploded. So then it became about criticizing the act of doing cultural anthropology.
Wow.
Which in a weird way is a lot of the stuff we're talking about now, but it's like who owns the story and whose story was it and who appropriated that story and told it in a different way that it has become truth. Like this is kind of the stuff that we were talking about at a very academic level.
So you guys invented the word meta.
Although we didn't talk, yeah, I guess so without saying it. Meta was too meta for us.
What's like an essay? Do you just write like, what can I say?
Well, then it became, are these books like ethnographies, or are they just travelogues? Is everything just an opinion piece? Because how could you? There's no such thing as objectivity, so everything's subjective. So then, how do you write from a subjective point of view and make it anything that's worthwhile reading? Is that a journal entry? And that's when I was like, stand-up comedy.
Right. Makes more sense.
That's kind of like cultural anthropology. You're standing there going, from my perspective, this is how it happened. Now, you can tell it from the same perspective. You'd probably cry, but I'm going to make it funny.
Right. Or you look into a crowd and you go, you are all stupid. You make these sweeping generalizations about your audience in a way that people used to make sweeping generalizations about cultures. See?
Well, let's see. Let's see.
I didn't know you were I knew you were deep. I didn't know I had to get like a floaty, you know?
I want to see if your learning could help explain this to me. Speaking of movies and time.
I have to really
last night, my 13-year-old stepson has a acting coach. Comes in about once a week now that the things are opening up. And gives assignments of movies to see. And his assignment was to see Saturday Night Fever. So I saw 13. So I saw, which all right, John Travolta's dancing. I never saw it. Staying Alive, Bee Gees. I've never seen it before. We start watching it. Holy bumblefuck. What the heck? What?
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
I've never seen it.
Okay, explain.
I I think all people seem to remember is like, the poster with him putting his finger in the air. But
by the way, that's the pointer finger. It's not flipping the bird.
It is
that's
so,
right.
Yeah. But it should be. It is so racist, so sexist, spics thrown every other word, fags every other word. They walk down the street, a gay guy passes them, and one of the guys in the group, John Travolta and his friends, takes like his fingers on his tits, like puts his shirt out to show like, oh, he's a woman. He's like, and then doing the gay voice. Had nothing to do with anything, and they keep walking. Then they bring up David Bowie and go, that guy's bisexual. Yeah, bisexual. He fucks men and boys. And then that's the end of that scene. There's no lesson. You're not looking like kids today because he's supposed to be 19, 20 years old, this group of assholes.
Isn't there a suicide in it?
There's John Travolta and his buddies would be on the Verrazano Bridge, and they like to hang off it and shit.
Yes, right.
And then one guy's having like troubles in his life, and he goes on there and he's getting more dangerous. John Travolta gets nervous, reaches out for him. You can't really tell, kind of bumps him. The kid falls to his death. But don't worry, that's not going to blow everybody's mind because they got bigger problems because they were just gang raping a woman in the back of the car.
Oh, I do remember that too.
What's the next assignment? A Clockwork Orange?
That's a good movie.
Okay, let's show Benny it.
But I don't need to see it again. I don't need to see. I do remember, you know what I remember watching Saturday Night Live? I think when I was a teenager.
By the way, I'm sorry.
Saturday Night Fever?
Oh, Saturday Night Fever.
I was looking up information on Saturday Night Fever and I typed in Saturday Night Live. I'm like, Lorne Michaels did Saturday Night Fever.
And then I just I got it into my brain. Yeah. And then I feel like I saw it again somewhere in the last 10 years when I was living in New York and had no idea. I mean, it is so set in New York and New Jersey, right?
New York, yeah.
But isn't there like one of his pals is in New Jersey? Oh, there's like a New Jersey thing.
Okay. We don't like to talk about it.
Okay.
Wherever that bridge goes, I guess.
But anyways, and I just realized
goes to Staten
Island, yeah. But I just didn't realize when I saw it, not living in New York, how it was just all about all about living in New York rather than a story that was like for everybody or whatever that was supposed to be like of a time. It was really trying to capture this moment.
But didn't New York behave that way?
I think so. I see a lot of reviews and it was like, oh, great slice of life. I'm like, then your whole story was to show that people were, because that would have been the time. You weren't wise enough from the future to go, hey, I'm going to show how everybody's sexist, misogynistic. You can root for the protagonist, even though they're into gang rapes. So then what are you showing? Do you know what I mean?
I think without realizing, you're showing how okay we were with all of this behavior. It was just normal. So now that
if it's normal, why are you making a movie about it? It's normal.
A slice of life. It's normal, but it's like normal for the party boys. It's normal for us to want to come to New York for Edge. It's normal for this hot, sexy, whatever guy who knows how to dance. That's his norm. He does get to rape. He does get to put down all the gay people in the neighborhood. This is normal for Saturday Night Fever. So yes, there were accountants that had led very boring life. We're not going to do a slice of their life until, now when we know everybody has a story. But this was the story of the party boy.
Who knows in the writing if anyone had any perspective and they were like, oh, this will be the shock value, the gang rape. Ha ha ha. Because I don't have a sense of that mentality of that time.
I saw some reviews like they captured the disco era perfectly. So
there you go. Maybe they did.
So did these people reviewing it? Were they part of these antics? Ask me if I like disco.
Keith, do you like disco?
No. Jesus Christ, no. I guess I don't. Nothing gets solved. They beat up these Spanish, but they of course don't say that, but they beat up these Puerto Ricans because somebody says they were jumped by Puerto Ricans. They jumped the wrong ones. By jumping, I mean they crashed their car into their hangout and then beat the shit out of everybody. That doesn't get solved. I even stayed after the credits, the bonus scenes. That doesn't get solved. His brother's a priest. He quits. The family's upset. That doesn't get solved. There could be a bunch of sequels.
Keith, you know how you like stories about trashy people, like in what are those, the slice of life basically for living
like Real Housewives and all that stuff?
Yeah,
like
that's
that?
up there. No. That kind of trash. Yeah, I like the Jersey Shore. It's up there with gang rape.
No.
These guys just tan a little too much and drink a lot. It's a little different.
That's a pretty shitty slice of life too. I'm sure
that is.
Yeah,
but they know what they're doing.
I'm talking about what's that movie where there's a preacher, he ends up killing his wife, and then he goes on an adventure. Everyone's killing everybody, but it doesn't matter because it was back in the day. There's no DNA. You're randomly throwing people in the water.
And I'm on the pre side?
You are going to lose silent trailers tomorrow if you don't.
I think kind of made this movie up.
No. You recently said you like really like bumpkiny, middle of nowhere.
Things
stories.
like Hillbilly Effigy or things like The Devil All the Time.
The Devil All the Time is what I'm saying.
The main character doesn't gang rape. The main character doesn't see friends raping a woman in the back of the car, turns to the back and go, "Are you happy now?" That was John Travolta saying that. How are you comparing it to the movies? Because I like it set in the country.
Well, one of the main characters was raping strategically little girls in The Devil All the Time.
The bad guy that you never, ever rooted for.
Yes. Oh. I think that this is a reminder that we have been rooting for the bad guy in a lot of things. We just
recently called them the bad guy.
Yeah, this is very recent. This is why they're so confused.
Am I sounding like some woke asshole? I would not have left the movie theater in 1977.
Well, the asshole part.
I would have left the movie in 77 and went, John Travolta, I get it. He's being held down.
So, okay, I would
by
love to talk to someone.
Him to work.
Right, I'd love to talk to someone who saw this in 77. Who knows? I mean, like, it would be perfect. You got to get someone who saw it in 77 and talk to them what their point of view is. But they might have said, yes, that was shocking, but it made sense.
Yes.
They may have said that. They may have been like, oh yeah, that was clearly gratuitous for shock value, but it made sense.
The movie starts, it's like either a good girl or a cunt. And I'm looking at Benny like, well, okay.
It's wild for an acting director to give that to a 13-year-old. Is that what you said?
I would say
now. So. Unless they're just going to have some sort of group therapy afterwards where they're like, do you understand what was wrong with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we were talking about the wrong thing just now.
That's right.
It's very strange. Also, are you a good girl or a cunt is how I felt most of my life, okay? If you don't think we were being taught that, I don't know, Ophira and Canada, what was going on.
My God. No, absolutely. And then you would say whatever your answer was wrong, and everyone was going to laugh at you, and you were screwed on both sides of that. Of course. Yeah. And you would be, if you were cool, you would probably say, I'm a cunt, and if you were trying something else, you'd be like, I'm a good girl. And then they would be like, all right, well, that's the one that we're going to fuck.
Right. That's the one that we're going to want to fuck, but then we're going to stop wanting to fuck because we want to fuck so bad, and that makes us a cunt, and somehow everybody's doing something wrong all the time.
Exactly. So, yeah, that scene rings true. What else you got? Keep going.
Well, I'm just thinking. Picture I saw Saturday Night Fever in 4DX. That would have been. Chairs banging around, water in the face.
Ew.
Yeah. And no kid wants to be, kids, they feel like they're being talked down to all the time. So Kyle would be like, that is not how you treat a woman. I know, Mom. You don't rape too much. He's not hearing it.
So, but what did he think of it?
He was on his phone when there weren't tits on the screen. When there wasn't banging in the car, he was back on his phone,
Okay. Well, that sounds healthy.
Here's a review from New York Daily News. Saturday Night Fever is wonderfully honest and completely accurate when it comes to depicting that stagnant environment that keeps young people like Tony pinned down.
Why do you think people cared that women were getting raped?
Yeah,
I don't, right.
You guys know that
they still don't care. Clearly,
this is the most we've ever cared, and look how much we care.
Yeah, rarely. Just enough to sell a couple stadiums for a comeback tour. That's how much we care.
I've seen movies from the 70s. This one stands out to me.
That's probably why it's become like an iconic thing that an acting coach is giving to a 13-year-old boy, because it stands out.
It was horrible acting too.
Well, maybe they're going to do a section of acting on what not to do.
You know what? I don't. I'll talk about the movie, but I'm not going to talk about how to justify this idiot coach and his recommendations. Oh, did you ask him if it was a recommendation? I mean, it was an assignment, so he's not even recommending it. He's insisting.
Yeah, you have to do it, right?
Wow.
There's no other movie.
It holds up beautifully, mainly because it puts the characters and their flaws first and the disco nightlife second. Travolta remains an amazing, graceful presence on the dance floor. Are we watching the same movie, or again, am I a prude?
No,
you're not a prude.
No, you're not a cunt or what's the other one? A loser? Which one?
Staying alive. More than a woman. Who cares, BJ?
It is, but I feel like there's so many movies. I mean, I'm trying to think of another example. But anyways, my point is there's so many movies where they have like in this case, it was a soundtrack and a very, iconic number of dance sequences in that movie that's what people attach to, and that's what people remember. And there's other movies like that then you watch the whole story and you're like, what the hell is all the rest of this that nobody remembers? They just remember like the fashion or the like the fun finale.
That's true. I didn't know any of this existed. What I know of the movie is like what Ophir is saying. This is what people are talking about. He's very smooth on the dance floor, very charismatic. It's about disco. I didn't know it was all this other stuff, but this other stuff was happening.
And if I'm not wrong, the whole point of showing those two things as messed as whatever your opinion is, which I totally respect.
Whatever your opinion is on rape, which Ophir respect.
No, which I totally respect, but is to show like disco was this like popcorn levity, shiny, ridiculous emptiness at the time as compared to the rest of the music, transposed with this like horrible world. Horrible,
the anthropologist
dark.
has spoken.
A lot of dichotomy in that movie.
So it's like, and that's like the kind of thing where it's like, how could this exist at the same time as this? Or does this exist because this is how it is?
I saw an interview last night, not too long ago, with Travolta, and the interviewer asked about Saturday Night Fever, and isn't it funny how people remember it a certain way, and it was discussed.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, yeah, but people don't look. That's how people take movies. It's interesting. In Greece, he says, remember that the woman had a broken condom and got pregnant. And I'm thinking, that's not gang rape.
No, it's a little different.
Nicky had a condom since he was a kid and it got old and ripped. That's not gang rape in a car. It's not spick and fag. It's not jumping off a bridge.
Yeah.
No, that might have been the movie that he should have suggested if he had to do a John Travolta movie.
Right.
Because the edge in that was pretty rounded out. Because, I remember watching Grease as a kid. I had no idea they were talking about being pregnant. I'm like, what is this song?
Right, the bun in the oven, all those references. Right. I was like, what are we talking about? Yeah, all I know is that the best thing I could become was a beautician. That's what I remember.
I also remember, what was that other movie? Oh, yeah, Dirty Dancing. For the longest time, I'm like, I will never understand this scene. She doesn't have time to go to a doctor, so people are mad at her. I don't understand. I had no idea. Nobody said the word abortion. It was very lightly hinted. It's not lightly hinted now that I know what an abortion is, but I did not understand everyone's stress over this.
So maybe it just went over Benny's head when you saw tits in the car and ass slamming against the window. Maybe it didn't connect.
Maybe these were better alternative movies, even though, and I'm not comparing it, I'm just saying, what's his face was a fully grown adult going after somebody still called baby in high school at
there's a lot of that
vacation. Everyone's cool with that. They're just not cool with him being a dancer and not rich.
Kenda's job is to see Saturday Night Fever this weekend. And on Monday she goes, holy fuck.
No, I don't mean to compare it. I'm just saying what I didn't understand. Yeah, Saturday Night Fever sounds very clear.
I have never seen Dirty Dancing. I knew that I was going to get that response. I've never seen it.
Wait until Patrick Swayze says the N-word. It's going to blow your mind.
I feel like I know the story because everyone I know has. I don't know how I missed it.
Oh, it's worth it.
I bet if I went back in time, I was like, oh, that's what happened to me that year. You know, that I was like not part of society or something.
It's going to be very corny. And of course it like doesn't, you know, but it's just this like cheesy thing that you need to know. You need to see that lift, the corny fucking water scene.
So I've seen the lift because the lift is in everything.
You've never seen the lift,
clips.
Ophira. No. No.
You've never seen the lift until you see the hours around the lift.
Right. How did he get there? Did he dance by a tractor? Or is that another movie? Jenya says, my grandmother took me by mistake when I was 12 and I almost died of embarrassment leaving the theater with me. I thought it was going to be about dancing, the grandmom said. You know, but that's the difference with kids today. When I was a kid, if my parents would have been like, well, turn your head away from the TV during this part, it's like, of course, this is awkward for the whole room. Not kids today, because they've seen everything on their phone. They're like, Mom, can you get out of the way?
Right.
I do remember at 12 and 13 watching things like, I think watching everything. I don't think they were monitoring at this point. So I was watching, excuse me, the devil all the time. I was watching adult movies. I don't think Nightmare on Elm Street was... that was very scary, I think. And I saw that a little too young. My brother was listening to Howard Stern. I don't think we had those restrictions.
Yeah, I remember the first horror movie I saw was, oh my goodness, The Exorcist.
Oh, that's hard.
And then I was super scared. I was so scared. And then I just every night before I went to bed, I was like, oh my God, what do I do to make sure I'm not going to get possessed by the devil? Like I was just so freaked out.
What did you do?
That. Nothing.
Finally figure out masturbation because that's the thing.
And even that movie wasn't as tough as Saturday Night Fever. And that one guy's mom was sucking all the cocks in hell.
I have not seen that movie either.
It's a snoozer until the end. It's a fucking bore fest. Then you're like, oh, the head's spinning finally.
I know.
You see the woman go to acting class. She catches the wrong bus. It's like, who gives a shit?
And then when you see it now, of course, because, you know, special effects have come such a long way, you see that head turning around, you're just like, it just looks like a hilarious, you know, broomstick on a puppet head, just like winding around.
All the special effects in Dirty Dancing still holds up.
All right. A lot of guy wires. They have a lot of guy wires.
No. I just want you to see it.
Okay.
It up.
Okay.
All right. So we got to the bottom of it.
All right.
See Dirty Dancing.
There you go.
Dirty Dancing. Don't see Saturday Night Fever dancing.
Maybe if you're under 14, don't. Maybe.
Yeah, and let's have let's get this acting coach on the line and see what the heck's going on there.
You're like deliberately trying to sabotage a family. Like you're a sick fuck.
Interesting. How old is this acting coach?
89. But still. All right. Went to Harvard for acting, this kind of thing, but no,
I hear the problem.
Yeah.
You know what, Keith? Serious question. You should really ask him, when was the last time he saw that movie?
Right.
How about this? Who goes to Harvard for acting? What's wrong with you?
You got ripped off. They probably don't have an acting course, right?
That's right.
Act like you belong here.
Yeah, exactly. There's no theater here. What are you talking about?
I said Harvard. He said Yale.
Yeah, did I say Harvard? I mean Yale. Yale? Oh, I mean Dalton. What are we talking about?
B. Dalton?
Where you went or where I went?
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know where you went, but I thought it was Harvard.
How you doing, Ophira, now that the world's opening up? Do you miss it?
Kind of. You know, I feel like, I'm just going to say the obvious. I'm tired. I'm tired. I forgot how much... how exhausting just moving through the world is, because I wasn't doing that for a year, and you just get used to it in a different way. So there are nice things, and there are things that I never want to have to deal with again. I don't like crowds. I never really liked crowds, but then you just get used to it. And now I just hate them. I hate them.
Look at this. Between studying cultures and stand-up, the whole time you were hating groups of people.
Crowds. Yeah, I don't like being crowded. I like them when they're away from me.
Right.
As I'm writing notes.
Yeah, exactly. The tall one seems angry. But
now that we have the vaccine, are you at the point where I am, where I'm like, okay, now everybody's had time to get the vaccine. It's free for everybody. If you're going out and you don't have it and you die, then I guess you die. This is the way I'm looking at it.
Well, I mean, honestly, that's the only way I feel like you can look at it. And most of the places I have played at you have to show your vaccine card to get in,
right? Which
I love because, I mean, yes, there might be a counterfeiter, but I also go like, you're a really motivated counterfeiter. If you're, right. I mean, like, what are you doing? Like to go into a comedy club? What laughter's the best medicine? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like, what a wasted effort. But then, so then in theory, all the crowds are vaccinated and it's kind of, they're great crowds because guess what? It's like an automatic weed out of all the fuckers I didn't want to play to in the first place.
You weren't playing you didn't want to do all your material to anti-vaxxers?
Never. And now they're gone. They're gone from, but some clubs there's a few clubs, it turns out, that are just, they're not doing that. And there was a woman that was sitting next to me, her and her date, and they were kind of chatty because the comics, there's no green rooms at any New York clubs. So you're always kind of near the audience depending on where they put them. And they were like, we're really excited. And then the woman said, like, oh, this is one of the few comedy clubs I can go to that doesn't require vaccination status. And I was like, oh. And she was like, yeah. And then said that thing that everyone says that is not vaccinated. Like, I just, I'll do it at some point, but I just want to do some more research. And I was like, oh, you're a researcher. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So what does that look like to you? What is that? Are you going to Johns Hopkins Medical University library and you're just up all night reading up on the journals? What is this research? Get me through your process, your research process. Or are you reading like a tweet? Like I was just like, stop it with this fucking, like, my research. What is your research? Tell me your research process. I want to hear it.
She has a notebook, goes through the pages and shows you the last page. I'm so close to a yes or no. Arrows going everywhere.
I want to see some X's and Y's. I want to see some fractions. I want to see some chemical properties. Yeah, I want to hear some footnotes. I want footnotes.
Right. I saw TV's Hercules on Twitter, Kevin Sorbo, and, this genius. And he goes, and he said, by the way, if you were never hired to play a smart guy in a movie, I'm just saying, it's a clue. But all right, you can lift giant boulders. Okay. It's a clue. They kind of typecast. Anyway, he says, the point of science is to question it. And I can't help but tweet back, what did you learn so far? What did you question? What did you study? We would love to know.
Yeah, right. It's like the point of science is to question, but not for you to question.
Right.
For the scientists.
Right.
But here's the thing: let's say you haven't found your answers. I want to know what your questions were, because I have a question mark on my arm, tattooed there. I love questioning things, and I don't even think you need to find an answer. What are you asking the scientists? What are your Google searches? Because I get questioning, I get asking, but if you're not even finding the next question, let alone the next answer, are you looking for something?
Right. And let me tell you, if you put in Google, is Moderna bad? You're going to get some results. Like, you got to also ask the question.
Will they type in, is Moderna bad? Yes, right?
Yes, right? So, but, and I also, and then I did have a moment of perspective because last weekend I believe there was the tropical storm, right? Mm-hmm. Tropical storm Elsa. And I was traveling for the very first time to do a show. And I was at the airport, and I'm a little out of my depths because I don't even remember how to travel anymore. So I'm just at the airport feeling kind of anxious about all of it. And they were canceling flights. And I was like, oh my God, canceling flights. How am I going to do this? And I had like 5 different weather apps going on my phone, thinking like, now I'm a fucking meteorologist and I'm going to figure out this tropical storm and its path. So I'll know when I have to demand that the flight take off.
You're doing your research.
And I was having a moment where I was like, who am I? Why do I think just because this phone, this dumb little device makes us all think we are gods? It's a problem. We're not, this is too much for us. This is too much for us. Someone should take it away. Take it away. We're not ready.
I'm reading that there's a study from Yale University. Now, Yale also told my 13-year-old stepson to see Saturday Night Fever. But anyway, coronavirus vaccinations have prevented 8,300 deaths in New York City, 44,000 hospitalizations.
Oh, I believe that.
In the first 6 months of 2021.
No, you just saw that happen immediately. I have that dumb app, speaking of apps, on my phone where that shows you the New York COVID rates. And all of a sudden, when everyone got vaccinated, it was like, oh, guess what? Hospitals have room.
Yeah.
Numbers are down.
Prevented 250,000 coronavirus infections, and just 1.1% of new cases came from fully vaccinated New Yorkers. So I don't have a calculator, but almost 100% are to the of deaths and illnesses, of course, are to the unvaccinated. Between January 1st and June 15th, about 98% of hospitalizations and 98.8% of deaths were due to of COVID complications were for those not vaccinated. Then you start seeing, I was at the gym, and I could have just said I saw TV, but I said I'm at the gym watching TV.
Sure, got it.
And
were you doing CrossFit? Do you need to talk about that?
I had to go. Luckily, there's a couple TVs, so when I go to the ropes, I can see what I'm about to tell you.
Oh, the
and then when I'm at
ropes.
The
don't
heavy
pretend
weights,
you don't do the ropes. Well, like one up and down, one up and down, one up and down. That thing. Oh yeah, sure. That's hard. That's good.
And then the bicycle that, of course, has a TV. So anyway, I'm, the states you would think about, Louisiana, Arkansas, 35% vaccinated rates. Yeah. 35% of people in these
really
states.
Bad.
Of course it is.
That's it. This year, I am not visiting Missouri.
That's where I went to. I went to St. Louis.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some of those cities are in some of these states.
But they paid you.
Yeah, and so and you just go like, I'm assuming that the people that want to see me in the city of St. Louis are not these people, but I don't know. And then I felt weird. Honestly, I felt weird addressing it. I was like, because usually, in New York, I'm like, I've just flat out asked people, like they'll be, I'll have gone out for a food and I'll just be like, are you vaccinated, to the server? And they're like, yeah, of course I'm vaccinated. Like, I feel like I just ask people.
Louisiana, 2,000 cases a day in Louisiana. 2,000 cases a day right now. And then they probably hear someone like me saying this. It's like, oh, you want to see deplorable?
No. Now I'm going
to go out and kill deliberately with that attitude.
Maybe this is the real purge.
That's some dark stuff, but this is the way you start looking at it. Actually, there was like a moment this morning where my son said, how many people live on the earth? 1,000? And we were like, it's a bit more than that. And then we're like, hey, Alexa, what's the world population? And I was like, what is it? Like close to 7 billion? And it's 7.8 billion, according to Alexa, which is, I guess, according to Amazon. Right. And we were like 7.8 billion. And my husband and I looked at each other and went, it's too many people.
1,000 sounded good.
It's too many people. And then you just go, is like, that's where you start getting into the apocalypse and the sci-fi feeling and like.
Oh, you guys were having a date night?
Yeah, exactly. At 11 a.m. or whatever time it was.
Do you both sort of feed each other on this thinking?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
It's like, it's good. And then you just end up at a place where you're just staring at each other in silence, like.
Just hugging yourselves and rocking back and forth.
Yeah. So
ready for sex, honey?
So when there's no food, would you eat me first or would I eat you first?
Well, I'll tell you,
before you know it, we just are very chatty today. Before you know it, they're signing agreements like, I allow Ophira to eat my body should I die, and she was in trouble.
Also, I want the variants. I want no variants. Let's just be clear. But I'm just joking around here. I want the variants to ruin more brands one at a time. Like Corona already ruined that brand for a while. Mm-hmm. And then Delta variant came out and I was like, Delta's the airplane. I want a right. Walmart variant. I want a Verizon variant. I want a Con Ed variant. I want it brands. I want them branded. I want branded variants.
Yeah, you would think there are other names for this. Nike, your new...
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like
Nike.
The new Bezos is coming around. Careful.
Right.
You can follow Ophira's tweets at Ophira E, and she writes, I just witnessed an argument between two grown men about masks. Guy one asked guy two to wear his mask, and they fought. Then somehow guy one switched to talking about Spider-Man and Captain America, and guy two put his mask on.
Okay, so this was on my way to your neighborhood. I mean, I think you're still there in Astoria, Queens. Mm-hmm. I was on that train, and everyone was wearing a mask on the train, but this one guy wasn't. And the one guy that wasn't looked a little unhinged, I will say. He just had people do. They have that air of being unhinged. And this one guy with the mask on was pointing to a sign on the subway that said, wear a mask. And he was like, sir. And the guy goes like, I'm not going to do it. Thank you very much. I'm not going to do it. Okay. Just thank you very much. Thank you very much. And then somehow this guy with the mask on decided to engage him and got up and he goes, it's just like we all have to work together. We just, you just do it because we all have to work together. And the guy was like, no, I just don't believe in it. He was on the line of like, I just need to do more of my research. And, what did he say?
But this guy A is getting closer to the guy without a mask. He's in spitting range now. Isn't it easier to go?
I know, distance.
Yeah, okay.
Distance. And the guy's like, by the way, Fauci's just an actor. Like he was that one of these people. Fauci's an actor. And the guy was like, yeah. And he goes, well, I don't know, I just like wearing masks because I want to live and because I feel like that would be us being heroes. That would be like us being heroes, like superheroes. And the guy's like, oh yeah, like superheroes. And he goes, yeah. And he goes, yeah, because he's like, I like Captain America, like Captain America. And the guy's like, why do you like Captain America? And he goes, because he's from Brooklyn, like me.
Holy shit.
And then the other guy goes, yeah, I like Captain America too. Because I grew up in Brooklyn. And the guy's like, yeah, and that's why I don't like Spider-Man. And they're both like, because he grew up in Queens. And they had that moment. And then the guy was like, you know what? Just for you, I'm going to put on my mask. Just for you, I'm going to put on my mask.
Wow. Dr. Fauci is an actor. He needs to watch Saturday Night Fever. He'll do a better job.
Hey, if Captain America and Spider-Man can convince one crazy person to put on their mask,
do you think it's Saturday Night Live's fault, like for having Trump on in the first place, and they had Brad Pitt being Dr. Fauci? That really confused things, right? I knew it was an actor. Dr. Fauci just took off his wig.
It's true that people have no idea of what parody is and what reality is. The television is giving them facts. And so
I could see that. I could see that being a big issue.
It's like, I was just saying that to someone the other day. We were talking about parody because he was like, I was really recently listening to Dice Clay. He was talking about, I was listening to Dice Clay, and I don't think anyone realized at the time that this guy was a parody of a act and that it was supposed to be shocking. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I was like, yeah, because we live in a society where if you want a piece of cake, you look for a store called Cake. Because anything else than that is very confusing.
Right. But his audience was definitely confused because they were a bunch of guys who loved mimicking him, but like in real life. And then
they thought it was a one-to-one relationship.
Yeah. They thought this was a cool guy and this is how you act cool. I'm saying this knowing that Keith mimics him a little bit too, but I'd like to think that Keith understood it and he was doing as an affectation, as a joke, and some of it stuck, unfortunately. But
but I knew what to do if I go into a line in the bank and there's a woman in front of me. I'm not confused of my role.
Sure. Sure. But yeah, we were just talking about like people and then people don't understand that. And then there's fans that don't get it and they take it at face value and that becomes a fans. And in a weird way, I think that of Trump. Like, I don't think that guy's smart in a parody, but in a way we were all supposed to be like, this is a parody, like this is not real. Ha ha ha, everybody. Ha ha ha. Don't give a power. Because it's garbage?
But because he was a human parody, it's hard to start.
I know, exactly.
And also because I've given credit to some, shows where it's like, oh, this has to be a parody. And then after a while, you're like, I think this is what they really think. It was sort of like, you grow up in a more conservative home and, you're laughing about the conservatism, the racism, the otherness. And then when it comes to real life, you're like, oh, wait, these were jokes, but also you were serious.
Right.
So it does sound and is different from different people's faces. And then that's when people go, what can I say? And it's like, I don't know, for some reason, not this, not you.
Right. Right. Like, why is that hard for you to understand? What can I say? Always the people that say that, like, oh, well, now we can't talk about anything. It's like, no, you were just bad. You were just not good at it.
The people who say, what can I say? They're saying that into a microphone with an audience. So you can say anything you want. You're doing it right now.
Right. Exactly. Good. Congratulations. You have an audience.
This is Ophira on Twitter. My social skills are coming back, but they are coming back weirder. The other day I was talking about I'm used to being normal now, I think. But it wasn't 2 months ago when I'm hanging out for the first time with my friend and his wife, and I just felt weird being in a conversation, 3 people total, and I'm telling a story to my friend who I've known longer, and then my brain tells me, you must look at the other person also. And I'm like, oh, right. Even though I'm not really telling the story the wife would be interested in, I have to turn my head and look at you, even if you are on your phone. That's how things work. And I remember thinking to my head, now I stand up to go to the bathroom.
Oh, I was doing the exact same thing. I felt like I was just like super high and like so self-conscious of every tiny little minutia face movement. But someone was talking to me, telling me a story. And I remember just being like, should I smile like this? Does this look engaged? Should I smile like this? And I was like playing with my face. I was like, this is what it looks like to listen. Does this look like it was an alien, like day one of human?
I
just like must fit in.
I put my hand up to my ear and I nod.
It was just sort of like, why is this so weird?
Well, I haven't been as in front of people as you. I'm still like in quarantine as I decide what moves to make. But now that you're talking, I have these moments where like, other people are always around. I'm on my bike and, in the supermarket or just walking down the street, but they're almost like extras. So when somebody starts engaging, or if I see someone I know, I'm like, what are you doing in my real life? Like, I'm not ready. I forget that you can bump into people. I'm acting as if
small talk
is behind the scenes. So I'm dressed like I'm behind the scenes. My hair is a fucking mess. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in real life. But, this whole time I'm like quarantining on a bike, like it's just Xerxes who's looking at me and he loves the way I look this way. But I don't go out like this. I got to remember.
That's so funny that you're like the extra. You feel like you're the extra. You're like, I'm just a background worker. What do you want from me?
Everybody else is an extra in my life.
In your life. And then you feel like you're in the background.
In Zoom, you're not an extra because I am deliberately talking to you. This was planned. Like we are talking to each other. But out in real life now, it feels fake. It feels like these are extras in a movie. This right here that's happening, I'm doing it. I know what to do. That's very strange. Like I hope I don't bump into somebody I know. Why are you running up on me when I don't have a Zoom appointment with you? This feels weird.
Yeah. No, I remember I ran into someone in the grocery and I didn't know what to do. And also they went in for like a hug. And yeah, I was just like, are we doing that? And then you get in this weird thing where you're like, no one has decided what the protocol is. We're all working it out in real time. Like, and what are the rules and what are not the rules? And did I come off? And then people say things like, oh, so are you into hugging yet? Are you doing that? And then I'm like, what? Now I'm like a shithead because I'm not hugging. You know, it's just like all these things.
You suddenly feel like a prude because you don't even hug people, but it's like all I want is a hug right now.
I know.
Like the only person I have touched and been in real contact with is one person. It's Xerxes. And that's great. I feel really lucky to have that. But I don't know what to do. A friend of mine, Carrie, came to drop something off the other day and she knows I'm vaccinated, but I was like in between where you're clear or whatever. And she's like, are you hugging yet? And I'm like, no, I'm an asshole. I haven't seen you in a year and a half. We used to like do regular poker games in real life. And now I'm like, you're still dirty. Please back up. I need to go get 2 condoms.
Right.
Yeah. I'm picking and choosing who, so no. You just say,
and
not you.
And I mean, like, you know, we're vaccinated, so we're okay. And I actually know that I was exposed, as it turns out, to someone who then tested positive. And thank God I didn't get sick. So I was like, guess that vaccination worked.
Right. Good. How do you? The only reason like people. Like, how old's your kid? Oh, fair.
5.
How old's 5 years old? Now, is that nerve-wracking because he can't get the shot, of course?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Although, you know, they say it's really low in kids. And because we, you know, for example, put him in a summer camp that is outdoors, but it's still a summer camp. But the policy is got to get tested every week. So I just feel like we're like as on top of it as we can be within living in New York.
Sure, but that little bundle of joy has brought you COVID before.
That's right. Well, I'm also like, it's also rare that it would be not impossible, but rare for him to get it again.
Right.
All right. Is he out there is he hugging things? They lick poles for fun, you know?
You know, it's so funny because I feel like you do not have to tell a kid not to hug something. I think most people are always like, go hug that person, say goodbye. Like, they're just like, can I just live my dumb life alone?
Let me mention this, by the way, speaking of kids, Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon is cereal that adults can eat. We grew up and we realized you can't be eating that crap they put on regular store shelves. You eat Magic Spoon now, and it tastes delicious. You're not eating shit. That's their tagline. 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving, only 140 calories a serving, keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, GMO-free. If I got an empty box, I'd understand, but I didn't. I got delicious cereal, all different kinds of flavors, cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know exactly what they're up to. And it's healthy. I don't know if it's healthy. I'm just trying to bring up the gym, but it's much, much better for you. I'll tell you that much. Go to magicspoon.com/KTG. Grab your delicious cereal. Try it today. And be sure to use our promo code KTG at checkout and save $5 off your order. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked.
Amazing.
They go, what's your name, sir? I go, No, I'm just kidding. I didn't have to return it. It's delicious. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/KTG and use the code KTG to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon.
Oh, if you remember Saturday mornings, I remember Saturday mornings, cartoons and cereal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And we would get every once in a while those variety packs where it's all little tiny boxes.
Yes.
We weren't allowed cereal that had any sugar in it for the most part. So that was like the special treat. And then I'd immediately go for the corn pops because that was the most sugary one in the pack.
Yes. Now you don't have to do that anymore.
No. Instead, I can just not eat breakfast.
Well, I'll tell you what, Magic Spoon, I get the full package. All right. So
that sounds great.
Check that out. magicspoon.com/KDG. Speaking of your child, on Twitter, I see you write, we have a package thief in the neighborhood. And my son's idea of a trap is a box that says, take this, we're counting on it. And when they open it up, it's full of farts.
Oh my God. That is so cute.
It's good. Good idea.
He even mocks him at first. Take this. We're counting on it.
That's what he said. We came up with this idea. I was like, we need to put a box down there. That's a trap. And he goes, we should write, take this. We're counting on it. And I was just dying. I was like, what a hilarious. We're counting on it.
Who says we're counting on it around?
I know. I don't know. We're counting on it.
Do us the favor.
And then I was like, okay, well, what are we going to put in this box? Like a camera? And he was like, no, we're going to fill it full of farts. And I was like, it's the best idea I've heard.
I like that he knows you both so much that you are able to fill a box with farts.
Here's another one.
It will be hard. It will be hard.
Here's one. I see a pattern. My son told me that if he meets a bully, he's going to make them smell super stinky carrots. 1 second, asshole. Let me run to my locker.
Let me guess what they had for dinner. He doesn't like the carrots.
I feel like, I feel like there, as I've learned, comedy with these little kids, you know what? Smelly things. They are just crazy about the idea of things that stink or smell. You say like smelly feet and they are just like in hysterics for 2 minutes, just at the idea. And you're like, what's wrong with you? I mean, this is a little boy with his own smelly feet. So, I mean, maybe he just relates to it. I can't speak for all children.
I don't know if I outgrew this, but when I pass a homeless person, I take in a whiff. I'm always curious. And then I really do. I do. And I'm like, ooh, that's a good one.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I just want to know like how bad.
I get it.
My God.
I get it. Unfortunately, I have to stop myself from doing that because I'm like, I kind of smelled it. Hold your breath. You are not that curious. Trust me. You already know.
Yep. I knew.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. You're like, look at that.
No, that's not true.
Not often.
Have you been around Times Square recently?
Yeah. I rode a bike through there.
And how was it?
I like pretty calm. There's a lot of seating. It's like different than it used to be, but in terms of how much they've changed it to a very welcome tourists. Here are more bikes to use. Joe's Pizza is there, and that's like the only reason to really eat around pizza there. Yeah. So it's very roomy, it feels. Yeah. But I wasn't there at night. I was there during the week, so it might have a different vibe, but it was okay.
I was there at night, and I got offered drugs like 3 different times.
Okay.
And I was like, wow. All right.
Like what kind of drugs?
Like 42nd and 8th, maybe, or 7?
I mean, they look at me, Kimda. Coke. All right. I look like I've got money. I look like I have things to do.
Well, it does smell like weed everywhere there.
Yes, of course. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they looked at me and they're like, she's walking fast. Coke.
Do you need to re-up? Huh? To be fair, I was going down Broadway, which I think is a friendlier, a little more Disney street.
That's right. Yeah. With the M&M store and then another, kid-friendly store after that, I think. Yeah,
there's like a Safari. So what is that? Not Safari. Makeup. Sephora, yeah. I call it Safari now.
That's where COVID started. Everybody dipping that shit in their eyes.
Yeah, with their dirty knuckles in a blush container.
NPR has decided to cancel Ask Me Another.
Boo.
I wrote them and told them to fuck off. Does this help? Should people bother?
So does it help? I think it doesn't hurt. I mean, they are hemorrhaging money. So that's that. But I don't know. I think it helps. I think it also helps because maybe Ask Me Another has a new home somewhere else. And so if people show support, that kind of rallies the idea that this is a product that people want, and that it should have a life.
Because what I did was I sent them a bag of farts. You see.
Did it say, open this envelope? We're counting on it.
Yes. Yes. Ophira is the best. Follow her online. Ophira E. You know that. Ophira Eisenberg is fantastic. It's good to see.
And also,
episode Bag of Farts, or we're counting on it. I was thinking In the Deep, because Ophira kept dropping those bombs. Cultural anthropology, or just anthropology, because it's like, how deep are we? Are we talking about the clothing, or are we talking about real shit?
Oh, right. I forgot all about the clothing, but you're right. Anthropology with an IE. Yawn. Can I invite listeners to something?
Yes.
Well, I've already talked, so I guess, yeah.
I'm recording a new album.
Okay.
Comedy album. I was supposed to do it in April of last year, but of course that got canceled due to global pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I am so excited about this. Can I tell you? You on stage. Because you have this
nice.
like angelic presence, and then you're like, fuck everything, and let me tell you how. And it is, it's like, oh, hi, I'm a mother. He's 5. Let me tell you a little. Like, I don't know how you don't have a cigarette in your mouth. It is so.
Well, I used to back in the day.
But you have such a warm, inviting, come listen to mommy speak. I love it so much.
And cool, Mom.
Such a storyteller, and you on stage is completely mesmerizing. And anyone, where is this taping? Because people have to come out.
So it's at the New York Comedy Club. New York Comedy Club.
Nice and
the
easy.
one that they call Midtown, but it's actually on 24th Street. But maybe that's Midtown. I call it Gramercy, but maybe I'm just too highfalutin.
I'm just going to go to 22nd. Okay.
Yeah, right. And it's August 1st, doing a couple shows. Like an early one for those people and a late one for those people.
If you are vaccinated and not quarantining, this is exactly where you need to be. It's coming up. You have 2 shows that night, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Oh my God, don't miss it.
And you can get cheap tickets if you use the code Canada.
We love Canada.
Yeah.
What's the easiest way to find the tickets?
Easiest way to find the tickets, 2 ways. Go to newyorkcomedyclub.com or go to ophiraeisenberg.com, and if you look at my calendar, there will be links.
Whichever one you know how to spell. We're not judging.
Oh, yeah. That's right. New York Comedy Club might be the way to go. New York Comedy Club is pretty easy. Ophira Eisenberg, that's going to take like 3 or 4 Google searches, and then you're going to find out that Moderna doesn't work. So...
I do remember, by the way, when you would do stand-up and you would smoke your cigarettes. It was like a Dice tribute. And I remember those days.
That's what I would do. Ophira Dice Clay. I used to go as Ophira Dice Clay. You don't remember those years?
Ophira, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me. So nice to see you soon in person.
Remember, everybody, see you tomorrow live on Silent Trailers. Get your tickets and check out all the information. KeithAndTheGirl.com/tickets.
KeithAndTheGirl.com